Everyone wants peace. Isn't that true? But not everyone finds it. Some search for it in comfort. Others, they chase after control, the perfect job, or the next accomplishment. But the peace we are truly looking for doesn't come from outside. It is something that you already carry inside. And I know this might sound poetic or too unreal or even just say a cliche. But let me tell you a story, a real one, but a very curious one nonetheless. This is a story of someone who found peace. But it wasn't in the quiet of a sanctuary, but it was in the chaos of a world that was, you could say, falling apart. And they carried it all the way to their death. Now who was this? Well, her name is Saint Edith's Time. And I guarantee you won't forget her once you know her story. So, I'm going to once again take out my trusted magnifying glass to uncover a truth about peace that could change forever the way you see it. Now, Edith's story didn't start in a convent. She was born Jewish and later became an atheist, a brilliant philosopher who believed only in what she could see and explain. But everything changed the moment she encountered God through the writings of none other than Saint Teresa of Avila. And that moment changed her life forever. She abandoned her career. She converted to Catholicism, and later on, she became a Carmelite nun. You could say a scholar of books and lectures, transformed into a soul of silence and simplicity. On April 15th, 1934, she took the name Sister Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. For Edith, it was more than just a name. It was a mission and a commitment to her calling. Benedicta, blessed, of the cross, symbolized her vow to embrace suffering, just as our Lord had done on the cross. Now, with the permission of her superiors, she continued to write philosophical works. She had turned her back on worldly success and embraced a hidden and humble life. But the novitiate wasn't easy for her. At the age of 43, Edith was older than most of her fellow novices. And her deep philosophical knowledge didn't carry much weight behind the cloister walls. She didn't even know how to sew or do any household chores. Manual work was essential to the Carmelite life. And she often struggled, you could say awkwardly, but cheerfully with manual tasks such as mopping the floors or dusting the banisters or even folding the laundry. Her novice mistress corrected her often, and she received each word without complaint. Once her prioress said this. She called her, a descent from the height of a brilliant career into the depths of insignificance. She understood that these small sacrifices were part of her journey towards her sanctification, and she accepted everything with serenity. Though her life became hidden, the shadows of the Nazi regime had started to fall over Germany. Edith, both Jewish and Catholic, stood at the very heart of the storm, and she knew it would catch up. It would catch up with her. But she didn't flee. She knew that her conversion wasn't an escape from her Jewish heritage. It was a deeper embrace of it. And she once wrote to a friend, "I keep thinking of Queen Esther. She was taken from her people so she could intercede for them before the king. Perhaps I have been chosen for the same mission." Now, when Hitler came to power, you can imagine being Jewish in Germany became very dangerous. And for Jewish converts like Edith's Time, now Sister Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, it was not safe at all. The hunt was closing in. Eventually, the Carmelite sisters realized that they couldn't keep her safe in Germany. So, on New Year's Eve in the year 1938, they secretly moved Edith and her sister Rosa, who had also converted, to the Netherlands, to a monastery in the Netherlands, hoping that being there, they would be far away enough from all the problems. Now, behind these cloister walls, she wrote The Science of the Cross, a profound explanation of the mystery of the cross, using the teachings of St. John of the Cross and St. Teresa of Avila. And in this work, she delved deeply into the spiritual significance of suffering. Unfortunately, even within this sanctuary of the convent, peace was only temporary. In 1940, the Nazis invaded the Netherlands, and 2 years later, the Dutch bishops publicly condemned the Nazi regime's treatment of the Jews. And because of this, the Nazis retaliated, arresting all Jewish converts to Catholicism. And of course, that included Edith and her sister Rosa. They weren't arrested randomly. Edith wasn't targeted because she was a Jew. She was taken above all because she was Catholic. And when the Gestapo finally came for her at her convent, she didn't resist. And as they were taken, she turned to Rosa, her sister, and said, "Come, let us go for our people." It was something very beautiful, even in the confines of the deportation camps, and later on the train cars bound for Auschwitz. Edith always wore her Carmelite habit. She remained calm and full of trust in God, and she would offer strong spiritual presence among her other deportees, consoling them in their sufferings. As you can imagine, she had nothing, but somehow she gave everything. And how was she able to do that? She was able to do that because she had already died to herself. She had already placed her life in the hands of Jesus through the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So the world couldn't take what she had already given away. In some of the notes that she managed to send to other people, she wrote that she was praying and even said she was at peace with everything. Now, she died at the hands of the Nazi regime, targeted for her Jewish heritage, but above all, because of her Catholic faith. It was in August of 1942. She was taken by Nazi officials along with 242 other Catholic Jews, and she died alongside her sister Rosa in the gas chambers of Auschwitz, and their bodies were later burned by the Nazis. But this isn't the end of her story. Edith didn't fall into despair. No, she saw something the world couldn't see. She saw the cross, not as a defeat, but as a path to victory. Hold on. Let's take a moment. This isn't just a chapter from her life. It is actually a message for you and me. We often talk about peace, but many think peace means being shielded from the chaos of the world. Edith, she found real peace, but it didn't shield her from sufferings. It walked her straight into it. And maybe that's the point. Edith didn't run. She didn't cling to safety or comfort. She stood for truth, even when it costed her her life. This kind of courage doesn't come from within. It is fueled by grace. And that is when God moves mountains within us. But here's the real question. What are you gripping so tightly that is robbing you of peace? Could it be a title? Some form of comfort? Maybe it's a dream you're afraid to let go of. Or maybe you're chasing peace, but it seems to be slipping through your fingers. So, once again, I'm going to take out my trusted magnifying glass. Edith's peace didn't come from safety. It came from abandoning everything to God. confidently anchored in our Blessed Mother. Real peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of God in the middle of that trouble and chaos. Now, here's my invitation to you. Consecrate yourself to our Blessed Mother. She'll guide you to true peace, the kind that lets you walk through the storm without fear. With her, you will find courage to face life's challenges, knowing that confidence in her always brings us closer to Jesus. Now, just as a child runs to the mother in times of fear or confusion, we too can turn to her, our most blessed mother, with our worries and struggles, confident in her guidance. And for that, I will leave the link in the description below for the consecration. You don't want to skip the consecration, and neither will you want to miss the next story. In a world that tells us to be fearless, we'll reveal where true courage comes from, wondering how someone could walk calmly into martyrdom. Just wait until you see where Edith found her strength. So, this brings to an end this video. And before saying goodbye, I want to thank all of our members for helping us choose the saints that we are talking and sharing with all of you. So, hope to see you in the next video. God bless and Salve Maria.